Alright, so tonight Zamaya is up. We going for this couple now. I always like the my papaya, so I'm not even, being funny with it. But Nicolandria, we're gonna have to put that dream on pause for now. But I'll talk more about that later on in the episode. But Amaya and Zach had a great episode. Let's talk about it. Hey y'all, it's your captain for all things creative coming at you with the Love Island Season 7, Episode 22 recap. And if you're new to this channel, welcome. Please like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And if you are returning, thank you so much for rocking with us. Let's get into the drama. So, the main disappointment at the beginning of the episode was that Nick and Olandria decided to be friends. They still had some cute scenes this episode because Nick gave Olandria his little shirt when she was cold. And he was the main one there for her because Taylor was still acting like a donkey, basically. One thing that really made me angry was when Olandria, in front of the group of Casa people, was saying how her and Taylor don't have no handshake. And he said maybe it's because nobody likes you. And I was like, you're already lying to her. You're going to be rude and disrespectful to her. Like, you should have did her a little high five, whatever, something. But again, Taylor never liked her. And you see by the end of the episode, he chose Clark like I knew he was going to do. But let's, get the other drama out the way before, we talk about all that. I'm just going to organize this kind of couple by couple since the main event of the show was recoupling. After, again, we figured out that Nicolandria decided, to be friends. We had a little conversation of like strategy with Huda and Shelly. And Huda basically did not like all her conversations with JD. I thought JD was very sweet. I did prefer his conversations with Amaya, but Huda curved him after just realizing that he was a little bit too goofy, I guess, and not eloquent for her. And they were talking about, I guess, her being too dominant when they were doing the challenge against the villa. And Huda was over it. And her and Chris had chemistry, which I did say, in my last review. So it's not surprising, that they chose each other. Um, Shelly and Ace end up choosing each other again because Shelly had already strategized with Huda and kind of gave her the blessing to go after Chris. So we kind of knew that she was going to choose Ace. And Ace was very gentlemanly with Coco. And I think Coco deserves to be an OG if they let her back on the show because she was great. It's no surprise Austin and Jaden chose each other. It's no surprise that Andreina and Brian chose one another. So all of that was very fine and dandy. Now, the other people that chose each other, you see TJ and Iris chose one another because we had another scene where TJ was talking to Vanna and he was like, yeah, I just keep thinking about Iris. And Iris also was wondering what TJ was thinking because they had never officially recoupled. So it was nice that, them two got back together. And Grayson and Pepe also had some scenes where you knew they were going to choose each other because Grayson is basically like a version of Hannah in a different font. So that tracked and made sense. Now let's get to the main drama of the show. Iris and Nick getting back together. Now, while Nick and Olandria were talking about, their kiss and talking about whether, they would choose to be friends or not, both of them said that they were both thinking about the other partners. So for now, I think that the timing of the whole Nicolandria romance is a little off because they both, have connections, that they were in at this point before the recoupling. And Nick would definitely have to like wrap up things with Sierra if he was gonna just dump her like that. And he had said he never got to take her on a date, so I think he had unfinished business with Sierra for sure. And the other reason why I still have hope for Nick and Andrea maybe coming back together was that when it was time for, the Islanders to choose which non coupled people from Casa Arc, would stay or go. Nick stood up for Olandria when a lot of people, including Taylor, who we'll talk about, was talking about bringing Coco instead of like another girl. So I think Nick still cares for Olandria. He looked out for her, but he clearly has unfinished business with Sierra. If Nick decides to stay with Sierra, I respect it because Sierra just like ran to him right away. So it's clear that she, you know, wanted to stay with him and she was crashing out over him the whole time during the Casa arc. So if they stay together, that's great. If they don't and he goes back to Olandria, I would I wouldn't be surprised either. Nicolandria hype. But at the end of the day, the main drama was between Nick, Clark, and Olandria because Olandria was just so delulu, stuck on whatever dream or vision she has of her and Taylor she can't get out of her head. And at this point, I was like, everybody was looking at Huda and Amaya like they were off or something was not clicking for them. But actually, Olandria might be the one that is the most delulu of them all because Amaya and Huda, they were making sense to me this episode. Both of them seemed like they wanted to jump Taylor. It was so funny because when it was revealed that Taylor was gonna choose Clark, you had Amaya who recoupled with Zach sitting on the sideline and basically just being like, Tay, Tay, and the faces she was making was like, ooh, if I catch you right now, it's over for you. Like, it was clear that Amaya wanted to give Taylor a piece of her mind, and Zach had to like hold her back. He was like, calm down, don't look. I thought it was so cute that Amaya was wearing her heart on her sleeve. She had a great scene with that. And Huda also got Taylor on her radar. She was like, yo, Taylor, why are you so easy? So, Taylor, your days are numbered because the girls are so disappointed in you. None of them saw you were faking or a snake. I saw he did not like Olandria. All them faces he used to make like Ace Ventura. It was like, again, he was surprised that she was not seeing that he was lying to her. I've fallen for like the bare minimum. And with Clark, I didn't like the faces she made either. She has some kind of, I don't know if it's like a nervous tick or whatever, where she kind of does this kind of like smug lip tug. And I know I'm like biased towards Olandria because I know her longer, but I do feel that Clark does not have the best attitude because even when she was talking about, telling Olandria about the kiss, the other girls had to like stop her from, basically saying like, well, I want to tell her that Taylor initiated it. And then the girl's like, no, you don't want to seem like, you're rubbing it in her face. So I think all the other girls were more classy than Clark. And even when it was voting time, she was like, I don't even want to vote. Like Nick had to check her because she was being unclassy with the things she was saying, basically saying she didn't want to FMO. And everyone's like, well, you have to. And then I think her and Taylor were advocating for Coco to be chosen. And then Nick, because he still cares about Olandria, had to check Clark.
My thing is, no offense, Clark, y'all have only known each other for 3 days. And if Taylor decides to change his mind, like, in a couple days.
See, Nick standing up for Olandria at that elimination and making sure that Olandria came back in the house is why Nicolandria will always be shipped by me, no matter what. If it, gets to be the case that Nick stays with Sierra, I will, vote for Amaya and Zach as my number one, Shelly and Ace as my number two. I would say Sierra and Nick is my number three, and my number four would have to be maybe Huda and Big Guy Chris. We'll see if Huda acts right. She seemed like she's more humble now, but at the end of the day, I definitely think that Olandria is going to let Taylor go for now. I think Nick is going to want to stay open, hoping for, better connections like he has always been doing with Sierra. I think he's going to take Sierra on that date, close things off, or commit to her. Either way, something's going to change with Nick and Sierra's relationship. But I don't see Nick leaving Olandria out to dry unless Olandria is stuck on stupid and just still keeps pursuing Taylor. And I definitely think Taylor is going home next. Like, all the girls were disappointed in him, especially Amaya. That face she was making at Taylor and the way she was calling him while, Zach was holding her back will always be iconic. And so I think Taylor and Clark's days are numbered at that house for sure. But whether we get Nicolandria again or not, Zamaya is up. I'm all for Amaya and Zach. Zach sees her heart. He says he knows that she's a sweet girl. I saw him calming her down tonight when Amaya looked like she was gonna pull out a couple of Taylor's braids or dress or whatever that is on his head. And I love the fact that two men, were fighting over Amaya. You had JD and Zach come up for her. So Amaya's up, Zamaya's up. If we get Nicolandria back, great. If not, Amaya is my girl. Now, going into the episode, Olandria and Nick were still the top couple. Sierra and Elan was number two. So Nick and Sierra are both so popular. Amaya and Zach, they're actually still together. They were number three at the time. People also liked Clark and Taylor as the top four. And Coco and Ace was pretty low. So maybe now that Ace is with Shelly, they'll climb back up the rankings. But I think people still did not like Ace's shenanigans. But I actually think that Ace realized that he could not control the game as much because of what the producers did. And he's starting to let go a little bit because, I know he was trying to coach Taylor by, making him go talk to Olandria and all of that. Taylor annoyed me by showing the little thirst trap pictures that Olandria had left for him to the guys. And, Ace and Nick were like, ooh, she's playing offense. I just, felt like Taylor was disrespecting Olandria at every turn this episode. It was, really annoying. And when he chose Clark, though, I think Ace and Nick had an interesting reaction. They were, shaking their heads and basically giving the face yeah, I can't do nothing for my homegirl. She done burned too many bridges when it came to Taylor. So at the end of the day, I think Taylor's days are numbered. I think Ace and Nick are gonna cut him loose because again, Nick was trying to root for Olandria. Taylor did not want Olandria back in the house, but Nick and Ace and Pepe, shout out to Pepe, we're all on Olandria's side. And again, Austin had tried to get Taylor out before, so I think Taylor's definitely gonna be first on the chopping block in terms of breaking up that boy clique. I think that in the future, Amaya and Zach hopefully will get along. But if Amaya and Huda keep that same energy with Taylor, they might get him next. So I think next episode is gonna be interesting. Say how you feel about it in the comments. And remember, you're the master of your fate and the captain of your soul. Now I'm gonna go recover from my crack shit being taken away. Bye.
Take me to the king. I don't have much to bring. My heart is torn in pieces. It's my offering.
Cut the show. I'm done. Take me off. Take me off. Cut the show. I'm done.